Welcome back to Core Coaching Raw live. We're so glad that you're here with us. Welcome, welcome, and welcome.
Hey everybody, this is Jackie Schwab and my co-host. That's Kevin.
That's me, Kevin Pedry.
And today we're going to have a fun little chit chat today. I think the topic of inquiry is signature systems or signature programs or secret sauces, whatever you want to call it. And that's what we're going to chat about. So, Mr. Pedry, have you ever had a signature system?
No, never.
No. I have all the systems.
This is a really fun one. I love this one. Well, I get excited about a lot of things, but the signature program stuff is, I know it's kind of funny that we just love this topic, both of us do. But this here is, I think, one of the most important things in a business. And we probably said that thing about mission and vision. We've said that about programs. We've said that about sales. But this one really is important, right? This is the one that we're going to do the most work on in our business. And we're going to really talk about this today because I want you guys to start thinking about what does it mean to be different from others, right? And what are the things that we've learned so that we can really make a big difference from the people that we serve. So a signature system, a signature product, a signature program, a signature presentation is all about me teaching the world what I love and how I can make a difference. So the short answer is yes, I have created a lot of signature programs and a lot of trainings, and I absolutely love it. I mean, this is the good stuff right here.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is we're always so opposite in this in a good way. I come out of the product development space, the traditional corporate product development, product management, and this wasn't exactly the sexy side of things, right? We actually would have things, especially when I worked in medical device, we had things called like the new product introduction process. And to do that, you literally there were like all of these steps, right? So you do a lot of research, you figure out who else is doing what, how are they doing the thing they're doing, what are they selling it for? Like, it's like you have to be a super detective, right? And find out all these good things. And then from that point, we take it through all these stages. But one of the things I think I've seen as I kind of schmojied out of corporate and jumped into entrepreneurship with both eyes closed and holding my nose is I realized like sometimes we forget that there are some tried and true processes that do help you have a saleable service or a saleable product. And the only difference between any product that you sell in corporate and a signature system is that we're talking about like you branding you. You're like, what's the Kevin Pedry signature system or the Jackie Schwab signature system or product or service, etc. But it's not all that different than, like Coke's signature product was Coke at the beginning. But, like there's like, what's your secret sauce? What's your special ingredient? What makes you stand out? And so I bring a little of the practicality in, I think.
Yep.
And, but I do think you're right. There's so many entrepreneurs out there right now, right? There's especially a lot, with the advent of working from home being much more accepted now and what a lot of people are doing. You do have to find a way to tell your story and to stand out and, I don't know, actually give value to your clients.
Definitely.
And so I think that's why it's super important. What do you think?
This is exactly the thing that I think is the most important, right? Like we talked about this in several of our, of our conversations here, and the importance as a entrepreneur, right, is that I have to create the vision and mission, and I have to be excited for myself, and then I need to excite other people about that mission and vision, right? And it's always that balance between the two of staying really excited about what I do and getting other people excited, and then creating a program and then getting results, right? So when I'm thinking about the whole process, right, it's like I have to be able to bring that message to the world. I have to be able to, you know, as Jackie says, I have to be able to bring the processes, and I have to be able to bring all of the other stuff together to get the results. Because if I don't get the results and I'm excited, well, that's cool that you're excited, but you're not getting results, right? And I think a lot of people really think that they can just, you know, open a business and that it's just cut and dry. It's really easy, and I'm just going to throw it out there and it's going to be perfect. Well, it's not, right? Product development in its real, you know, we're going to talk a lot about this today, but the real idea of product development is, and Jackie will probably have a better process for how she talks about, you know, the implementation, all the stuff. But the simplistic way of thinking about it is that it starts with an idea, right? And then you have to start putting it together. Then you have to test it. And then you have to see the results. And then you have to replicate those results over and over and over again, right? And this is going to be one of the things in our business that's going to be the thing we're going to work on our entire career, right? And that's going to be professional development. That's going to be product development. That's going to be working on you, right? Jackie and I talk a lot about, you know, doing group trainings and the importance of doing group training to be able to, you know, leverage time that they talk about, right? Like we can leverage our time, but there's a certain learning curve that has to be put in that equation for how well that's going to be delivered, right? We're always talking about how do we deliver the results? How do we deliver the program? How do we deliver it, right? So I'll let Jackie talk a little bit more about that, but I want you guys to think today, just in general, the things that I want you to think about is what's your idea, right? Now let me back up. Yeah, what's your idea? What's your message? What's your product? How do you deliver it? And how do you measure the results that the people are getting? Right. So this is what I want you guys to really think about today. Yeah.
So I'm going to give you like props for the simplicity of that for sure.
Yes.
And yes, like definitely. I actually, you know, grew up in the software development world. So there's a software development life cycle. And then I went from software to product, and there's the new product introduction processes and the new product development process. And then I was in med device, and there was like the process. But essentially, it comes down to what I say is like the 6 Ds and how to create a lifestyle business. The first is discovery, right? That's like, what's the big idea, or what's your little, like, what are you going to do for an impact? How are you going to change the world? And when we go from discover, it's design, right? Now you have this idea. How do you take that and make it into something, you know, on paper, right? Just like, what's your napkin sketch look like? And then it's development, right? You have to have some kind of MVP or minimum viable product, or 6 coaching sessions in a row, so whatever your little tester berry is. And then 4 is dry run, right? Believe it or not, you do actually have to test all the things.
Yep.
As brilliant as you may think you are, and trust me, I think I'm brilliant. I tell myself all the time. The customers don't always necessarily see, or it doesn't give them the outcome that you might have thought, right? So you do want to test it out. And then there's just like the 5th one is distribution. Yeah. So once you do it, you build it, it's awesome sauce. You test the crap out of it. Now you got to get it to the customer, right? You got to sell it. You got to market it. You got to get out there. And then the boring part for everyone, but actually the most important one for a sustainable, maintainable, and consistent business is depend. And that's how do you continue to deliver that amazing signature system, that amazing program, so that you can have recurring revenue, right? You can continue to make money from your signature system. So those are the 5 Ds of a lifestyle business, as in terms of how I would describe them. But yeah, you're right. It starts like, what is my idea? What is the impact I want to make? And let's not forget all of that this, that, design, discover, blah, blah, blah. Really, it should end in one really important place. And that's, what are you doing all this for? What is the results that consumer or that other business, if you're business to business, what are they going to get out of it? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your mission, vision, or values are. It doesn't matter any of that if you don't give some value to your end consumer.
Absolutely. You know, and I think that this is probably an area that's missed the most, right? This linking between this vision and mission of what I'm doing and the actual results that I get, right? And the thing that I'm most passionate about in speaking about business is that a lot of people think that they're going to just start a business online or in person in brick and mortar, and that it's just going to explode open. We're going to make all this money. Okay. Anything's possible. And I absolutely believe in entrepreneurship, and I absolutely believe in people being able to create their programs and do their thing. But there's a reality in the curve in which we're going to achieve that thing. Right. And I think this is what really leaves people most frustrated, right? Because what tends to happen is we forget about this piece and we go out and we talk about market. You know how many people come to me and they talk about, they want to, what's your marketing strategy and how are you getting people and how are you doing all this stuff? Well, that's all great. But if you don't have all this other stuff done, you're never going to get those people that are going to be excited about working with you in the first place. So all of your marketing, all of your building, all of this other stuff is not going to even matter, right? And I think a lot of people are they're not willing to spend the time it takes to actually do all of this development and, put free programs out there for people to test and, do market research, right? It's like, that's what this takes, right? Now, Jackie and I are talking today about signature programs, and a lot of this is about maybe creating and scaling your business, right? If you're an hourly coach or you have an hourly product or service, it's a little bit different. I mean, you still want to be able to make sure that you're getting people the results that they pay for, but there's a big difference when people pay you $80, $90, $100 an hour versus paying you $350, $400, $500 an hour, right? So wherever you are on that, right? And even, because I come from a service-based industry, right? Training and teaching and all this stuff. So I still had that message, right? Mine is pain management, health and wellness, right? Healthy living, right? And I'm going to help you move into that direction, even if you're working with me on an hourly model, right? It's like, here's my goal. Here's what I want you to achieve. And we got results. But coming back to the signature program, and the reason why I moved into signature training is because as a trainer and somebody who really is passionate about things, is that I understand that people, in order to make a big change in their life, they need to be committed to a certain period of time so that they can really overcome something, right? So if you're brand new in business and you're creating just an hourly model, that's awesome, right? And get out there and get practice and learn and, be around your people and really get comfortable with that. When you get to a certain stage in your career and you're ready to really help people transform, and again, it's not to say that you can't help people transform in the hourly model, but when we start to talk about creating a signature program, there's a lot more that's involved in it, and we're going to create a different environment, right? And part of this is going to be some personal development that we have to go through, right? Because people are going to come up against all kinds of stuff when they're held to commitments, right? So
I think there's another thing about signature systems that's like an intrinsic value that you don't always realize that's there. People want to know that you can lead them through a path, right? Yeah. They want to have some level of confidence that, like you were saying, you did years and years of wellness, right? Personal health and wellness and weight loss and getting toned and kettlebelling your brains out, right? People knew that because when you came to them and you said something like I just said, right? It's discover, design, develop, drive, run, distribute, depend. And they're like, oh, wow, you know what you're talking about. You didn't have to even explain all of those pieces. Mm-hmm. And so some of the things that you get or some of the value you get out of having the signature system is some level of credibility or some comfortability, if that's a word, comfortability. Yeah, that might be a word, to the client who says like, oh, well, you have a path. Okay, you've driven this way before. Yep. You don't need the GPS anymore. You've taken the path long enough that you've been there before and you've been able to see it. So there's really some comfort that we get and some credibility and some trust that intrinsically comes from having thought through the steps from where you are to where you want to be. Yep. And that's also part of that signature system. Yep. The other piece of that, and I'd love your take on it as well, Kevin, is in corporate world, corporate e-speak, right? We always would talk about USP. What's your unique selling proposition? What makes you better and different and special and secret and saucy and all of this from everyone else? You may provide like coaching is a thing, right? It's a defined skill set. If all of us came out and said we're coaches or we're consultants, well, then how do they know whether to pick you or to pick me or to pick someone else?
That's right.
So the signature system is a way even to brand the way that you're showing up with your coaching. You know, yes, maybe you're a transformational coach. Okay. Transformation how, right? Are you a confidence coach? They're all in the same umbrella, but people want to know, like, people like to be marketed to extremely specifically now. That's right. They want to know that, you know, you only work with men who have already done some work, like already done some training. They're taking it to the next step. Maybe they're an elite athlete. You know, you're not doing dad bod work. You're doing sculpting work. That's right. People want to know that they're going to someone who does the sculpting, not necessarily someone who's doing the dad bod stuff.
Absolutely.
So I think we get some of that out of it too. So what do you think about kind of the USP as part of branding or the signature system?
Yeah, and I think it really depends too, like, am I having a conversation with somebody or am I marketing online, right? And this is something that you and I talk a lot about, right? It's like when I market online, it's like I'm really pigeoned into here's what I do, here's how it works, right? But yet I have 20 years of experience of things I want to tell you that I can't really tell you on a page, right? Like, so, and I can't really necessarily tell you in a video. This has always been my challenge. And I talk a lot. So it's like, how am I going to get all that? Right? How am I going to get all that I know? Right? So, you know, it's like, for me, you know, what is my unique selling proposition? And this is something that has taken me a long time to just settle into, that it's like, people love to be around me because I help inspire them and motivate them and excite them. Right? And so people are attracted to that, right? Not everybody. I turn a lot of people off that don't like that kind of behavior, which is completely fine. Right? But that unique selling proposition for me is that I'm willing to share my vulnerabilities. I'm willing to be boisterous. I'm willing to cry with you if that's what needs to happen, right? I'm willing to stand up for you. I'm willing to be strong. I'm willing to do all of these things, right? And people know that about me. And it's like, we can't forget about those things. And it was for the longest time, as I'm like switching into signature programs and going online, it was almost like I was forgetting all of this and forgetting all of the stuff that I already knew because I've been doing this for so long. That it was like, and I know you and I have talked about this a lot, that's like sometimes we forget everything we know because we're going to listen to some other person because we think they know better than us. But it's just who I am, right? It's like I show up and I'm just real and I just want to be here, right? And it's like, how do you articulate that, right? How do you articulate that? I'm fun, like we're gonna have a blast.
Like your copy is fun. Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's like sometimes you ask people. I asked my daughter once. I'm like, you know, how would you describe me, or what do you like most about me? And I am always very nervous because she tells the truth. One day she told me that I look like a clown and my butt was big. So if that gives you any idea of how careful you have to be when you ask my kid, right? So I was like, well, what do you like? You know, what would define me to others? What do you think others say about me? And she said, you're like everyone's Aunt Jackie, like the whole freaking world. And I was like, huh. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you just accept everything, everyone. You just roll with it. You don't care what their story is. You just sit with them in it. And I was like, huh. Yeah. Okay. And I think that's part of it, right? So if we're talking about unique selling proposition and rolling that in with signature system and branding, you probably would go to Kevin if you're really high energy and you're really looking to be pumped up and you like that energy. And if you're looking for like down home Midwest sort of like practical advice, like someone who's been through a lot of junk, who's like just rolling with the punches, maybe I'm a better fit for that. You know, maybe my system is a better fit for that. And it's okay if everyone isn't a fit for you.
That's right.
Right. You can't serve how many billion people are on the planet? Like you couldn't serve all of them anyway. So why not serve authentically from who you are and how you show up in the world? Right. And so I think that we make the signature system thing become too complicated sometimes. That's why I gave you points at the beginning for creativity and for simplicity. It really is like, what's an idea? how do you know that your idea is going to be saleable, right? You want to make some money. It is a business. It's unless of course you're a nonprofit or something like that. But so you have a good idea. Do you think it's going to make some money? Test it out a bit and then put it out to the world as the steps that you have that you know work, and do it with your flavor, right? Yep. Put a little Jackie sauce on there, put a little Kevin on there, right. and people that are going to be attracted to that will be. Yep. But the signature system is really the online persona of you. Mm-hmm. I want people to also remember that if someone like calls me on the phone and is like super looking to be inspired, but they think I'm inspiring, which would surprise me, I guess. But they're like, but I want to work with you. I'm not going to be like, no, sorry, that's Kevin. He's the only inspiring one here. I'm more like, your Aunt Jackie. Like, you're not going to do that, right? There's like the right here and now conversations. And there's what do you have to put out to the world to get SEO to work, right? Search engine optimization. Right. Or what do you have to put out for your lead magnet to work? Yep. That's the kind of stuff that the signature system speaks well to. Like what's your, Kevin Core has 5 steps to building business. That's a signature system, right? That's the 5 ways to go from where you want to be to where you are to where you want to be in business, right? That's a system. It helps people know that you're legit and you're there. Yep. So I think just remember you can still serve others that are out of your system. It's not to lock you in. It's to just help you stand out in a very busy, very flooded technology world. Digital marketing is very busy.
Yep. Yeah, and that's right. And I think that's what is hard for a lot of people. And you hear people talking about like you need to niche and the importance of niching. And yeah, I get it, right? And again, this is because of online marketing, right? It's all about when I'm using it, right? It's not that I have to niche. It's just really more of a tool, right? It's like I have such a broad set, right? Sometimes I'll be talking business work, and then all of a sudden, right, I work with a client who's got some, stuff that's coming up in the process. I'm not going to ignore that, right? We're going to talk about it. We're going to work through it, and we're going to look at it. And that's what that means when we think about like, how do I get my people from point A to point B? My signature systems always have that piece in it, right? Because I know the importance of it. I've gone through a lot in my life, and like I've shared with a lot of people, I'm a recovering alcoholic, and this is something that is really important to me. And so I understand that there's way more to living a full life, right? And it's not just about work. It's not just about, just always, right? I talk about work-life balance all the time. And if I don't address that, right, how am I going to get where I need to go? And I used to not, right? And I used to just be like, all right, I'm going to show up. I'll do whatever you want. You're the customer. You're right. And that's the way it goes. To no, I'm not just going to sit on the sidelines and just let this go because I know that I can help. Right. So, yeah. So I think, again, if you're brand new to business and you're brand new to kind of like thinking about marketing and putting yourself out there, the simplified answer is it depends on where you're going to put your message. Right. But be excited about your mission and really look at your mission and actually say, like, am I doing this for money? This brings me to that point, right? Everyone goes like, I want to make money. Kevin, they come to me. This is how it works. This is how consumers work. They come to me when they're like desperate, right? And it's like, You're like, okay, so this is good in a way, right? Because it's like, okay, I can help you, but, right? It's like, now we need to calm down and we need to get into the reality of like, I do a lot of healing. And so people come and they're like freaked out and they're like, oh, I'm going to die. And, all this stuff. And it's the same in business, right? It's like, and then we act reactionary and everything's always like, I need to make money right now and I got to do this right now and everything's got to be right now. Well, that's a bad starting point, right? It's kind of like building a foundation that's not completely set, right? Because if I'm not calm and I'm not realistic, you are going to burn out so quick. And I promise you, marketers are digging into you on those fears and they're digging into you on these ideas that you can succeed. And you can, but let's look behind the scenes. Let's draw back the curtains a little bit and let's look at it, right? And it's just like, I'm going to use weight loss, right? People come to me, I want to lose 50 pounds. Sweet. It's going to take you a year to a year and a half. Are you ready? What? That's not what I heard online. Okay, like, but I'm just telling you the reality. I want to make $200,000 a year. Okay, let's pull back the curtain. How much you making right now, right? Like, we got to be real, you know, we got to be real about this. And I want to bring this to the next thing, and I'm going to let you kind of talk about this a little bit too. I know I'm getting real, this is my line of passion in this stuff, right? Because this is what I really love this. This is the topic I love the most. But what's our price worth? What's our program's worth, right? And a lot of people forget to do the math, right? And they go like, I want to make $10,000 a month. And I go, great, we can do that. Now, what's your math? Like, what's your program worth? Well, if I have to make $10,000 a month, then it's worth $2,500. Okay. Have you ever sold anything for $2,500? Well, no. Have you ever created the program? Well, no. Right? Have you? Well, okay. So we got some work to do, right? And we forget that. It's not just like I put math out there and then everybody just flocks to this thing, right? There's like a process that happens. Like, I charge 90, I charge 150 an hour, right? I've been doing this for so long. I charged hourly, right? In the hundreds, right? To get to the point where you can start to say like, my program's worth this, and it's a 3 to 6 month program. And here's why, right? So what do you have to say to that? And I know there's not too much more to say because I'm just kidding.
Because I said everything, and I'm the smartest there ever was. Yeah. No, I think that there's some validity in that, and part of that, again, if you were to go back to a traditionalist model of product development and life cycle, part of what you'll find out in the market research side of it is, what does your consumer think it's worth? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a big one about, I say this all the time, and you and I don't know if we disagree, but we come at it a little different angles. I never want to say like, what am I worth? Mm-hmm. Right? Because I'm worth all of the money in the world. Like, we're all unique. We're all amazing. No one can be like us. Like, we're all priceless. However, I want you to charge what the market is willing to pay for your service. So if you're a tarot card reader and the market is taking $30 a reading, then you should probably charge somewhere, around that, a little higher if you're premium, a little lower if you're entry level, right? If you're a business coach who's been doing it a gazobble millions of years, and the market is saying, hey, they're making like $5,500 for 3 months, then you need to be charging somewhere in that place, right? If you're premium, maybe you go up to 75 or 10K. If you're newer to business, or maybe you're working with entry level business folks, maybe you're charging 3, but you want to charge what the market will bear, as well as so the math has to work out on how much you want to make, but also has to work out on how much people are willing to give you. I'm so glad you said this. Now, I just want to say something to this because I love this. This is really important here too, in what she says, right? And also, I'm going to say, and also, for years, people are like, oh, you're never going to charge that much. They never do, right? And it took me a long time to go, what am I giving in value that is different from what they're giving, so that I can actually say, this is why I charge this much, right? And this is what people, yes, we have to charge what the market will value or bear, but when I think of massage and wellness and gym memberships and all this stuff, it's just ridiculous. It's just you'll never make any money in those models that way on the long term, right? On the long term. And this is why we're talking about signature programs today, right? Because there's only 2 ways to make money if you're going to be a service-based. Is number one, maximize how much you can make, right? And that's fine, right? But if you want to make more, you will come to a ceiling. That's all I'm saying, right? So you can make $100,000 doing service. I've done it a lot, right? But you're going to come to a ceiling. Then you have to hire employees, right? And then that's going to take you back, and that's a pain in the ass, right? And then you can go from there. But all I'm saying, right? So the only thing I say with her is, yes, you have to bear the mark, what the market's willing to pay, but you have to add so much value and so much unique selling, the uniqueness of what you do, if you're going to charge. And this is what we talk about all the time, right? Why are you worth $5,500? Why are you worth $2,500? Why are you worth $70? Why am I going to even pay you $70, right? We've talked about this a lot. I don't care if you're selling $10 tarot reading cards
or $1,000 an hour program. They have to see the value.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I were to come out like one last kind of piece, and I think went so fast, we have to wrap up.
Part 2 coming soon.
Part 2 coming soon. It doesn't have to be as scary as it feels sometimes.
Yep.
And I don't remember which guru, because there's so many, taught it this way, but I would say, if you're trying to uncover your signature system, right, your sauce, your pathway from where you were to where you became, think of an event that broke you.
That's right.
What was that event that just broke you?
Yep.
And the pain that you felt there, and then where you are now, right? Yep. Whatever that paradise is, whatever that place of joy is, and what was the path from the event and the pain to the paradise you're in now?
Yep.
That's your signature system. Make it fancier, put some nice words on it, put it 1 through 5, put it 1 through 10, whatever it is.
Right.
But it's that simple, right? What is the idea? How did it break? How did you fix it? And then you make it pretty.
Yep.
And you start selling it.
And you don't have to be perfect to be able to teach other people, right? And this is the thing that a lot of my students and myself have struggled with in the past, is that if I'm not perfect in business, if I'm not perfect, battling anxiety, if I'm not perfect at being a mother, if I'm not perfect at, teaching this course or doing this thing, then I can't possibly teach to other people. It's not true. And we have to really be willing to share that vulnerability with the people that we serve. It's like my struggle with alcohol, and I use this all the time, right? It was the struggle that I went through that got me to the point where I can be sober now for almost 9 years, right? It was that, and it was because other people's story and hope and inspiration along the way that said, yes, I can do this, right? And that's all you have to understand, right? Like, I
agree. I would say, if I were to give, I don't like to give advice. I usually like to ask you what you think, right? But as a coach, but I would say, if I were to give advice, I would say the only thing you need to have, and it's funny coming from me, right? I'm one with a master's degree. I have more certifications than we can count. I'm teach at like a pretty reasonably prestigious university. And I would say you don't need any of that.
Mm-hmm.
All you need is to be one step ahead of the person that you're helping.
Right. That's right. That's right.
One step. If you're on the cobblestones and they're behind you, you just got to turn around and reach your hand back and take them with you.
That's right.
And that's all they're looking for.
Yep.
That's all they want, is someone to take them along the path to where they were, to how they overcame it. You are their inspiration, right?
Yep.
That's
right.
how you were inspiring, because you did make it through.
That's right.
So that would be my advice. You just got to be one step ahead. You don't have to be at the finish line yet.
That's right.
I'm
really glad you said that. Yep. And our goal is for you guys to really think about, what do I do in this world, right? And stop thinking about the money, right? Make it about what you really want to change. And it's going to change everything, because Jackie and I both have struggled with, this work-life balance thing. And, I have my own story with anxiety and stress and all of this stuff as an entrepreneur. And it was because my mind was in the wrong place, right? It was always chasing money, chasing the dream, chasing the thing. And if we just did the numbers, right, most people don't achieve the highest level of success, right? And it's just the way it is, okay? So when we can focus on really serving, and we can really focus on what we're doing, your life is going to be filled with passion. You're going to, I tried, right? And I've had a lot of success. I'm not saying that I haven't. I've had tons, and I'm still successful. But the way that I judge my success is much different today than it was when I was, 10 years ago and early in my career, right? Now it's about, how am I serving? How am I making an impact, right? The older I get, the less I care about money, right? It's just like, I want to be remembered as something, right? I want to make an impact to the people that I serve. I want people to change their lives. I want to, hopefully use this energy for the good and really get people to see that they can, live a passion-filled life, and they don't have to be stuck in the past, and they can get through anything if they try really hard, right?
I agree. So what I would like to say, just to wrap things up, because thank you so much for all that insight. If you want to see an example of a signature system, just one example, the 5 steps to building a successful business is the one that Core Coaching does. And you can find that on our page. You can find that on our website at corecoachingacademy.com. And all of those, it's just one more example of what that looks like. And then think about what might that look like for you and the impact that you want to make. And again, if you need help, that is what we're here for.
That's right.
So Kevin, anything else you'd like to end with?
Yeah, I would just like to say, if you'd like to reach out to us and you'd like some help on how we can help you build your business or help you get a little bit more clear about what your passion is in life, reach out to us. It's Kevin at corecoachingacademy.com, or meet us in our Facebook group. All right.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.